Just going back to skin protection as a young boy growing up, sun cream.
Yes.
And how essential it is. What was that like from a personal experience, both as your parents were learning about it, but also, the application? You grew up in France, which has wonderful, nice sunny days. Children play outside in the courtyard. That's encouraged. Do you have any personal memories of what it was like with that, having to get used to the discipline of the application, etc.?
It wasn't fun. It's never fun to put sunscreen on. It's never fun to worry about sun protection. So it wasn't fun when I was a kid. It's not fun today either. I was fortunate enough to be born at a time when sunscreen already existed. My mother doesn't have albinism, as I mentioned before, but she has red hair.
Okay.
And she grew up obviously before me at a time when there wasn't any really effective sunscreen. And I think she burnt her entire childhood when she was on vacation, particularly. So no, I mean, I don't have good memories of sun protection during my childhood. I remember getting burnt. I remember getting into arguments with my parents about photoprotection. I remember me just deciding to avoid sun exposure, even though I certainly wanted to go out and play. But if I had to choose between going out and putting some sunscreen on, reapplying every 2 hours, and staying home, I would decide to stay home, which wasn't an ideal choice, but that was my choice. So no, I don't have particularly good memories, and I should also add to that the fact that I didn't know what to expect in the long run, because when you have albinism, you're being told that you are at higher risk of developing skin cancer. But what does that mean? Does that mean that no matter what, I will develop skin cancer? Does it mean that I have a 50% risk of developing skin cancer? And if so, when? I did not know. And the truth is that today we're still lacking a lot of knowledge on that particular issue. I grew up at a time there was no association of persons with albinism in France. So we were very isolated. Our experience of albinism was our family experience. We didn't have other people to exchange with and to learn from. The first time we got in contact with an association was in 1998. I was already 15 years old. So we couldn't learn from others. We had to figure out everything on our own. Today, with my experience of exchanging with many people with albinism in France and in Europe, I understand that the risk is very low. Taking into account that we are educated and that we have access to photoprotection, we have access to dermatologists, skin cancer screenings. So if we just follow the recommendations, we're fine, we're safe. Which doesn't mean that there's no burden. Photoprotection per se is a burden, and that's why people don't like to apply photoprotection. I mean, I'm not just talking about people with albinism. I'm talking about the general population. Many people would say, "No, I don't put sunscreen on because on me it's sticky, it's oily. I don't like the way it looks," and people don't realize that it's the same for everybody. So it's a burden to put sunscreen on, but that looming threat that I grew up with, the looming threat of developing skin cancer, has pretty much disappeared today. I know that I'm safe. I know that I need to be careful, but it's not a reality for me in France and for people my age living in France. Those who grew up at a time there was no sunscreen and no education might still develop skin cancer in their senior years, but that's a limited number of people. Of course, in other regions of the world, it's a completely
Completely
different
story.
Exactly.
Yeah.